Okay, so we're going to dive into just one sentence today, but this isn't just any sentence. It's a huge reality check. On the surface, it seems like a simple, almost cold observation about non-existence, but trust me, it holds a really profound lesson about how we actually live our lives. So let's unpack it.
All right, here it is, the first part of the idea. Nothing bothered you when you didn't exist, and nothing will when you'll not exist. Just let that sit for a second. At first glance, it feels like a really cold, logical statement, right? Just a fact about consciousness. But is that really all that's going on here?
And that's probably the first place your mind jumps to, isn't it? So is life meaningless? If my beginning and my end are just nothing, a complete blank, does that suck all the meaning out of everything in between? That is a massive question, and it's exactly what we're going to get into.
Okay, so let's start with the obvious interpretation first. What is this statement really saying at its most basic, most logical level?
Well, at its core, it's really just a simple fact about consciousness. I mean, think about it. To be bothered by anything, you need a you to experience that feeling. Before you were born and after you die, there's no conscious subject. There's no one home to experience pleasure or pain. So logically, yeah, nothing could possibly bother you. It really is as simple as that.
And you know, this isn't some new, edgy, modern idea. We're talking ancient Greece here. The philosopher Epicurus basically built a whole school of thought around this exact concept. His argument was that fearing death is totally irrational. Why? Because the state of being dead is something we can never, ever experience. I love how he put it. If you're here, death isn't. And when death is here, you aren't.
Okay, but that simple, logical take on death, that's not the whole story. Not even close. Because there's a second part to this quote, and it completely flips the meaning on its head. It pivots from being a thought about death to being a powerful, powerful warning about the human ego. And boom, there it is. This doesn't mean the world started revolving once you were born and will stop once you are dead. That one sentence, that crucial addition, reframes everything. Suddenly, the point isn't just to make us feel better about death, it's to challenge this super deeply ingrained assumption we all have, that our personal existence is somehow the center of all reality.
So you end up with these two ideas sitting right next to each other, and they're worlds apart. On one hand, you've got a pretty straightforward thought about death. When you don't exist, you feel nothing. Simple. But on the other hand, you have this much more humbling and maybe a little unsettling thought about your ego. The universe was doing its thing long before you showed up, and it's going to keep right on doing it long after you're gone.
All right, so let's dig into that. Let's look at this whole idea as a kind of psychological tool. Think of it like a mirror that we're holding up to our own minds. What does it actually reveal about the way we're wired to think?
Psychologically speaking, this quote is a full-on assault on what's called egocentrism. And look, it's a totally natural human bias. As little kids, we literally believe the world just, poof, disappears when we close our eyes. Now, we grow out of that, of course, but a more subtle version of it tends to stick around, doesn't it? We kind of implicitly feel like our story is the story. This quote just forces us to confront that illusion head-on.
In this journey away from being the center of everything, that's a core part of growing up, of psychological development. We all start out in childhood as the undeniable main character. Then, as teenagers, we often get stuck in this personal fable phase, where we feel like our experiences are completely unique and special. But real maturity, that's the final step. It's when we can humbly accept, okay, I am one small part of a truly vast, ongoing reality.
Now I know what you might be thinking. Insignificant? That sounds depressing, right? But here's the twist. A whole school of philosophy, existentialism, argues that this very idea is actually the key to real, genuine freedom.
The famous philosopher Albert Camus had a name for this feeling. He called it the absurd. And what he meant was this clash. It's the collision between our deep, powerful human need for meaning and purpose and a universe that just stares back at us with a cold, unreasonable silence. This quote we're looking at, it throws us right into the middle of that confrontation.
So what do we do with that? Well, Camus's contemporary, Jean-Paul Sartre, kind of showed us a path forward. His famous line was, "Existence precedes essence." And what that really means is we aren't born with some pre-installed grand cosmic purpose. We're just thrown into existence. And from there, it's up to us, and only us, to create our own meaning, to define who we are. The universe doesn't hand you a purpose. That's your job. You know, there's this ancient Roman saying, it was an epitaph for followers of Epicurus, and it just captures this liberating feeling perfectly. Non fui non sum non coro. It means, I was not, I was, I am not, I do not care. And that's not cynical. It's not saying I don't care about anything. It's a declaration of freedom. Freedom from the fear of death, freedom from the pressure of some cosmic judgment. It's really a statement of peace.
So, where does that leave us? What are the big takeaways here? Well, it all starts with humility. Just accepting that, nope, we're not the center of the universe. And once you do that, something amazing happens. That humility gives you this profound sense of freedom, the freedom to create your own meaning. And that, right there, is the ultimate empowerment. It means we can finally live authentically, for ourselves, and not for some imaginary cosmic audience we think is watching.
Now, it's really, really important to make this distinction. This is not nihilism, okay? Nihilism is the belief that life is totally meaningless. That's not what this is about. Instead, you could call it a call for existential humility. It's the wisdom to see ourselves clearly without that comforting but false illusion that the entire universe revolves around us.
So let's be absolutely crystal clear on this point. The quote does not say that your life has no value. Not at all. What it is saying is that the value of your life isn't some prepackaged gift handed to you by the cosmos. It's something you have to build yourself. You know, meaning isn't something you find, like you're looking for lost car keys. It's something you create, moment by moment, with every choice you make and every action you take.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. If there's no grand cosmic plan, if there's no universal scorecard keeping track of all your wins and losses, who are you performing for? Seriously, who are you really living your life for? When you strip away the performance for everyone else, what's left? That's the challenge, but it's also the incredible freedom that this whole idea leaves us with.